Christmas is coming up, but I got nothing festive related to review, so, here's a Jegan review. Now I know what you're thinking, why not do both, because I do have the escort type. This one right over here. Well, it's called dragging it out for more review materials. Anyways, here is the ECOAS type. The sole reason for me wanting this is that it's a Jegan with a visor. The main thing I liked about the Jegan Sniper 2, right over here, is the flip down visor. Plus, the Jegan is a terrific grunt suit design. So, this was the perfect combination in my eyes. Almost. For you see, I suspect the fusion between the two was stopped halfway, as to get the visor down, you don't just flip it down like on the Sniper 2, it requires parts forming, which you can see right over here. I really love this look, but I really wish they could have implemented something similar to the high-grade Jegan Sniper 2, as that kit proves that it's possible and also came out in a similar time frame as the ECOAS type. I sort of understand they had to retool as much as possible while not going over budget, so I guess that was a sacrifice. Would have been nice, but there was definitely some other reasons why. Now, other than that disappointment, everything else is just the 2009 Jegan High Grade with some new parts. 2009. Anyways, namely the chest and crotch area. Armoring and bulking it up to survive more hits. Maybe. Now this is more a complaint on the original design, but I wish the skirt flaps right over here were larger like the ones found on the stock Jegan and Jesta. Minor in the grand scheme of things, I admit. Now, pink and brown is a combination I never would have thought would be good, but the ECOAS Jegan proves it wrong because it doesn't look that bad. Although I have sneaking suspicions because the pink is really only found here. But it still doesn't look that bad. Definitely so on the escort type, where you can see the visor more prominently, although my camera can't pick it up for shit because of shadows. Now the stickers that I have applied here are what you'd expect. Decent. It's got here the ECOAS logo, the wording, Earth Federation badge, Earth Federation Space Force, the crotch, and also the visors themselves. Yeah, they're decent, they are what you'd expect. Also, do expect some obvious seam lines and also nub marks. Its base kit was from 2009 after all. Also, I screwed up in terms of nub removal, sanded a bit too much away. Yikes. Could be worse, I guess. Its armament includes the standard beam rifle, a shield with 4 missiles attached, and the connecting piece already having a large stress mark, worrying to say the least. Grenades on the side skirt that can't separate because they're all one motor piece, a rocket launcher with some movement right over here, and finally beam saber stored on the hip skirts that you can take out, plug them in, holds it quite nicely, and the beam saber effect parts. Now this kit comes with 2 beam saber effect parts. Not really surprising. What is the varying lengths of them. Interesting. Here is the shorter beam saber effect part attached for those who are curious. Anyways, in terms of alternate hands, it includes this trigger finger hand right over here attached to the rifle, and that's it. Here it is with the rocket launcher attached, you know, standard stuff. Although, a bit worrying is that the trigger finger hand, the peg right over here, lots of stress marks. Very, very worrying. And so because of that, it will now permanently be part of the beam rifle and beam rifle only, because I don't display heavy weaponry that much. And the bus is coming. I'm trying to attach this thing, and there we go. Now, for articulation found on this kit, it's nothing to write home about. Obviously, it can't do anything the Origins Gundam can do, nor can it do some of the poses that the Jegan Sniper 2 is capable of. In fact, one could say that articulation is rather underwhelming. But if I'm being honest, it does get the job done. The head has a 360 rotation that's actually quite tight, and so I don't really feel like turning it because I might snap something off. It also has, tilting action. The arms fully rotate with some butterfly movement. It also goes out this much. Again, like I said, sort of underwhelming. Right, I'm going to edit this into the articulation section, but I found out that this part actually moves out as well, meaning there's actually more arm movement, meaning it's not disappointing. So that's nice at least. Also, it does have more movement, but it's ridiculously tight, and I really feel like something's gonna break due to all the friction there. So I think it's better to just sort of leave it in one pose, and that's it. It's sort of scary to move it again. It has an elbow swivel and a 90-degree bend. The wrist movement due to a ball joint, all that tilting action, swiveling action. Speaking of swivels, got yourself a waist swivel that's limited due to the backpack. You sort of have a ab crunch and an arcing back, sort of. The backpack here, these thrusters can also pivot for more dynamic thruster thing. I don't know what to call it. You get barely any thigh swivel, but the legs themselves sort of move because of this piece right over here. The legs go out and back this much. Pretty decent. However, the split is rather underwhelming. You have a more than 90-degree bend, because this is actually double jointed, although it's refusing to work. And finally, you have your angle pivots that pivots the other way more for some reason, and has up, lots of up and some down. This is a Grunt suit made in 2009. It sort of is all the articulation you really need for basic poses of shooting and dying. But for a Spec Ops mobile suit, one where a named pilot did more than the basic Grunt movement of shoot and get shot at, I do feel that more should have been added. That is, however, my personal opinion. I'm not really expecting much. To me, the main selling point is, do you want a mobile suit equivalent of the Navy SEALs? Then this is it. Although I think the Jester also counts, but I am confused on what Lando Bell and his Jesters are, because they're also Spec Ops but are more independent, so I'm not sure what the equivalent is. Anyways, it's relatively cheap, 2,500 yen on Mandarake. That was the price I paid for this. And what you get is, like I've already mentioned, decent enough. Like I've said in other reviews, specifically the previous one, expect a kit from the 2010s and you won't have much issues, personally. There will be quite a fair amount of stuff you need to fix. I forgot to mention, paint for all the thrusters and stuff, the bottom of the feet to, make it truly accurate. Anyways, that's all from me. I hope this was useful, and to see you in the next one.